that either you've seen it or you're not really bothered by it, and you just want to learn some history, in which case let's get started. The entire basis behind From Hell's plot hinges on this elaborate conspiracy theory involving the Freemasons, that they were responsible for the Whitechapel murders. For any of you who don't know, the Freemasons are a centuries-old secret society that boasts some of history's most influential figures, such as Winston Churchill, the Duke of Wellington, Voltaire, Mozart, and George Washington. Because of members like these, some people think that the Freemasons are pulling strings behind the scenes and running the world. In the movie From Hell, the Whitechapel murders are sanctioned by the Freemasons to cover up a royal scandal involving Prince Albert Victor, the grandson of Queen Victoria.
Prince Edward married Anne Crook, a commoner and a Catholic.
These murders is the Queen's physician, Sir William Gull, and instead of taking care of it quietly, he goes way beyond the call of duty by mutilating the bodies. Apparently they're supposed to be in accordance with the physical penalties of Masonic rituals and oaths.
We asked Sir William to remove a threat to our family and to our throne, not to engage in these ghastly rituals.
Oh no, of course not, Your Majesty. That was unexpected.
To this film, they go way too far with the creative liberties in order to push this Masonic conspiracy narrative. Whilst it's true that the real Charles Warren was a Freemason, you shouldn't read too much into it. So was Richard Pryor. As for the idea that the police were compromising their own investigation for elaborate cover-up, is ridiculous.
Out with an in-crowd of a slightly more occult character, the Freemasons. This highly secretive fraternity originated in England, though when precisely is difficult to say. Some histories pinpoint the Brotherhood's inception to 1717, with the establishment of the Grand Lodge of England. More grandiose theories trace its lineage back to the Middle Ages, the Roman Republic, and even biblical times. Some have even maintained that Masons erected the Tower of Babel. In the beginning, the order is said to have consisted of professional stonemasons, tradesmen who built churches and cathedrals all across Europe. By around the middle of the 1700s, however, it had transformed into more of a social organization, welcoming members of various professions, and many, if not most, initiates wouldn't have had a clue as to how to lay a brick. From the dawn of its recorded history, Freemasonry has been a mystical order with high-minded ideals. In his book, The Path of Freemasonry, Mark Stavish explains the society's core tenets. The Brotherhood defines itself as, quote, a peculiar system of morality veiled in allegory and illustrated by symbols, unquote. Its primary objective is, quote, to make good men better, unquote, to build them into superior beings through fraternity, philosophy, and charity. Such edified individuals are then expected to better society. The craft's activities are founded on a complex system of symbols, customs, and rituals, most of which derive from scriptural references to the construction of the Temple of Solomon in ancient Jerusalem, Masonry's own unique mythology, and the handed-down traditions of medieval trade guilds. If this all sounds a bit abstract, that's largely because the Brotherhood is shrouded in mystery. Outsiders have little insight into Masonry, and initiates are prohibited from letting them in on it. In fact, they agree to suffer horrendous violence should they betray the secrets of the Brotherhood. In Michael Maybrick's lifetime, most people were cognizant that the Masons were out there, not least because many of the Victorian establishment's most prominent representatives were known to be members. For example, the Prince of Wales, later to reign as King Edward VII, held the fancy title of Worshipful Grand Master. Still, what happened in Masonry stayed in Masonry. You knew who they were, but not what they did. On January 4th, 1862, a writer for the Saturday Review of Politics, Literature, Science, and Art described the strange state of affairs this way, quote, "We know everything about Freemasonry except what Freemasonry is," unquote. Warren recognized as much and considered it his duty to protect his fellow brother by undermining the investigation. These, I hasten to add, are Knight and Robinson's interpretations of Warren's thought process.
This should tell you how deep the consequences of Masonic initiation go and what lies deep within. It's Freemasonry above everything else. There's the Queen showing her allegiance over and over. And here's the Queen leaving a very special hospital with a very special nurse. And this was the Queen's father. fully dressed in his Masonic regalia, forsaken apron they wear, which also hides something, just like the square and compass. In fact, what the apron hides is what the square and compass really represents, and it's staring you right in the face. Can you see it yet? Prince Charles, handshake, hidden hand. Prince Harry, Prince William. And here's the Grand Master of English Freemasonry, Prince Edward, also in full gear. What a lovely looking chap. And now he's giving the Masonic grip in front of this stone that was placed there to memorialise his visit to Cape Town Lodge. And what about this guy? Prince Philip, husband of the Queen. Do you remember him saying this? Yeah, and here's the article in case you think he didn't.